friends. Welcome back. Welcome back. We are going to be talking about the only two geographic strategies for building a local newsletter. There's only two. And this is a choose your own adventure situation because they're going to send you in two completely different directions. There's no right or wrong answer here, but which path you choose should be determined by your North Star, what your goals are, what you're trying to get out of starting a local newsletter, and at the end of the day, what kind of life you're trying to live and build around this venture. These are two completely different journeys. They'll determine your revenue model, what your team looks like, your lifestyle, your overall experience as the founder of this operation. I work with hundreds of local newsletter operators from around the world. I see both of these paths work very well in very different ways for very different people. Neither is right, neither is wrong. So let's dig into this thing. Let's talk about the pros and cons. Let's break it apart. Here we go. So there's two paths. Path one, you build a local newsletter in a market you live in, a market where you speak the language and you know the people. Pretty straightforward. Option two, you build a newsletter or many newsletters in markets you don't live in, markets you don't necessarily know, but you're looking for opportunity and you're looking for distribution. The first one gives you depth, the second one gives you breadth. Both require good content, both are real businesses. They're just optimized in different ways for different purposes and often for different types of people. Let's walk through each one here. So, path one, build where you live, the depth play. I want to reframe something right away because I think a lot of people hear one market and they think less revenue. That's not necessarily true. I think you need to be thinking about it from a per employee basis on a per market basis. And also, like when you go deep in one market, you don't have to just build a newsletter. You're potentially building, like myself, a products company, an events company, a community company, a local holding company. Perhaps you want to build multiple newsletters for that single market. You're going deep. You can build multiple publications. You can build an entire company off of that newsletter for that one market. It might appear to be smaller opportunity on the surface, but in reality, I think it's just as strong as the other model. It's strong in a different way, I suppose. And this is the path I chose. Catskill Crew, I'm very transparent about this. It was born out of an existential crisis. I wanted to build something that I wanted to run until the day I die. I wanted to connect my community. I wanted to support local business. I wanted to hang out with more people. I wanted to have fun where I lived. I wanted to be more connected to the nature, to the history, to the rivers, to the woods, everything about home. And that's the thing about depth. It's far more personal. Usually, like these are personality driven. At least the most interesting ones I've seen. When you go deep, you build stronger trust. People have met you. You aren't some large entity. You are an authentic local voice. You're a neighbor. You're at the events you write about. You're bumping into readers around town. And I think the coolest part is you get the power of serendipity to work in your favor. I don't think enough people talk about this. You're at a bar and someone strikes up a conversation and that person becomes a business partner. You go to a community event and a local business owner pulls you to the side and says, I want to partner up with you. Stuff doesn't happen on a Zoom call. At least you could still do those, but it hits different when it's in the real world. So this is often the most personally rewarding path because you're not watching metrics on a dashboard. You're seeing the impact with your own eyes in your own neighborhood. You're building something with real roots, with real community, with real relationships, and those compound over time, day in, day out. And that's a moat that is way harder to copy. I've had multiple requests over the last 2 years to franchise Catskill Crew. And I expect many more opportunities in 2026. But so far, I've said no to every single one of those. I'll have the conversation and it's always interesting, but it's not right for me. It doesn't fit my North Star and the reason why I've started this business and kind of what fires me up. And so that may change someday. It might not, but right now I'm focused on being focused. So, option two. Option two, you're going to build across multiple markets you don't live in. This is the scale play. This is the breadth play. This is a completely different model. You're going to go very wide. And yes, often a bit shallow in terms of execution. But I want to be clear about something. That's not a weakness. That is the feature of this model. You're going to go high level in these markets on purpose because it allows you to execute across multiple cities. Any market you want to target, any market. One system, many markets. That's the entire point. You're not the local voice, you're the operator. You're hiring local writers, you're hiring VAs, you're hiring or building out AI systems to automate your content creation. You go from one market to five markets, 5 to 25, 25 to 100. It's just a game of scale. Every new market is another revenue stream on the same infrastructure. In my opinion, this model often pairs well with the ad slinger model. You're building distribution, you're building as many cadences as possible, you're running more ads. It's a volume play. And when it works, it can generate serious revenue across a portfolio of newsletters. But you need to be careful on churn because it's less defensible in many ways. The content, it's not as strong, it's not as deep, it's not as rich because you don't speak their language. You don't know the inside jokes. You need to make sure that content quality is there. That's the variable that will determine whether this model works or falls flat on its ass. So think about what is your magnet and what is your moat here. You also lose that power of serendipity we talked about earlier. No running into a reader at a bar, no handshake that turns into a multi six figure deal. Nobody walking up to you saying your newsletter changed their business or their life. You don't make new friends. You don't see the impact the same way. It's less personally rewarding, at least in my experience. And that's fine if you went in knowing that. But if you didn't, it could sure as hell feel pretty hollow. So the operational side is significant. You're going to be managing many writers across cities, content quality varying market to market. Someone misses a deadline in Tampa while you're troubleshooting a formatting issue in Portland. You're running a media company now, not just a newsletter. You need to ensure each market has their local and their national sponsors. You need to watch the CAC per market. You need to watch that churn and the bottom line. You're probably going to cut some markets and introduce new one. But for the right person or persons, this model is incredibly powerful. I've seen it work very well. If you're a systems thinker, if you get excited about leverage and distribution, this path can take you some places that the depth model simply can't. Pros and cons. So those are the two paths. And if you're honest with yourself, you probably already feel a pull towards one of them. Trust that intuition. It's probably guiding you in the right direction. But ask yourself, like, do you light up when you talk about your hometown? Do you speak the language of that community a way no outsider can? Are you a local mayor? Are you a creator or a builder? Do you get more energy from writing a great piece of content or designing the systems that produce the content at scale? These are the critical questions. Like, what does an ideal Tuesday look like? Are you writing a newsletter for a market? Are you meeting local businesses? Are you putting on events? Or are you on a Monday call with all your writers across the country trying to sign a deal with a national brand and, manage all the other local brands and you have an issue with your AI and, everyone's calling you out for your M dashes? Pros and cons. You got to make a decision. But what I found is the founders who build great businesses in this space, regardless of depth or breadth, uh, they all have one thing in common. They chose on purpose. They didn't drift into a model. They didn't copy someone else's playbook because it looked good online. They understood both options. They understood themselves, and they picked one that matched with that little North Star of theirs. So when you choose deliberately, everything does click. Your decisions get easier. Your strategy makes sense. You say no to tons of opportunities that will inevitably come your way. And to stay true to that North Star, you need to say no to a lot of opportunities. Your day to day actually feels like something you designed. That's the best part about local media. That's what makes this space so freaking cool. You can build whatever you want, however you want to build it. You get to choose all the ingredients that make your recipe. You want to go deep in your hometown? You could do that. You want to build a portfolio of newsletters across, 4 trillion different markets? You could do that too. So you could also kind of blend it. You could start with one and go the other direction. Usually it's a singular market and then scale it out, but that requires its own secret sauce, its own kind of strategy and approach. So by now you should kind of understand there's no right or wrong path here, just different versions of the same opportunity. And you pick the version that fits your lifestyle best. So I hope this helped. I hope it helped you think about strategy a little differently. And if it did, well, my friends, hit subscribe. All these buttons across the bottom, freaking crush them all. And if you're ready to go way deeper and you're ready to hang out with 200 plus local newsletter operators from around the world, go check out thenewsletter.club. We're hanging out there all day, every day, working together, making more money together, having way deeper impact on our communities together. Anyways, drop a line, drop a comment, go check things out. I'm always available. My information's down below. Local media is the coolest thing I've ever done, and I hope you have the same experience as me. See you out there.